Hi there, Randal Schwartz back again to talk about another thing I found interesting in the last 24 hours. So I was up at midnight trying to get to sleep for an early meeting yesterday morning, and I was distracted because I'm now on Discord. So that means I'm watching way more places for people to write questions and stuff. And so I was trying to get off to bed, just kind of clearing the palette so that I would be easy to look at the questions the next day. And I saw this question, and it's from some Nick. I didn't quite get his name pronounced, and he even told me that it was just made up, so it doesn't matter. Hi, I used Stream.periodic, haha, one of my favorite things, to fetch data every 60 seconds. Common thing to do with that. However, it only fetches the data after 60 seconds and does not fetch it at the 0-second mark. How do I enable it to fetch right away? Well, I started solving that problem because I saw Stream.periodic and I saw a chance to tell you all about stuff. So that was pretty cool. So one of my friends, Scott I think it was, said, hey, just call the routine you want to call first and then set up the periodic, and then you'll have gotten it on the 0-second mark because you called it first. I said, no, I think there's a better way. And I wanted to also show async star and yield star. And so this turned out to be a good exercise for that. But I oversolved it a few times. So this is what happens when it's late at night, you're trying to get to sleep, and you see a problem there. So let's go down here. Oop, font is too small. I will make that bigger for y'all. There we go. Actually, yeah, that's about right. And let me squish this down a little bit too. I don't want to worry about there. Okay, so here is the problem expressed as the problem. So the user had Stream.periodic. Maybe I'm going to put 2 seconds here just so it's quick enough to see, but also quick enough or slow enough that we can see that it does take time. I'm returning e+1 because e is initially going to be 0, and I want it to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then I only want the first 5 elements, so I have a take 5 on that. Because this is async for main, I can have an await loop down here. So this is basically picking up each element of the stream as it appears and printing that on the debug console down here in a second. Okay, I also put a start and an end so you can easily see when we're starting the experiment, when we're ending the experiment, so you can see the boundaries for the various times. Okay, let's run this and you'll see the problem right away. So look in the lower part there, the debug console place, and notice start comes out right away, 1 comes out after 2 seconds, 2 comes out after 4 seconds, and so on. So the original question was, how do I get that first initial hit to be a lot quicker? To be basically at 0 seconds instead of after the first period, okay? Well, I said, async star, yield star, that might help. So here was my first take at the solution. So again, I want the original stream. So that's from the previous example, right? The thing that starts, except we're starting at 1 second now. I didn't want to have you all sit and wait through all this stuff. And then we're going to pass it to a function called insert 0, which is going to return a stream as well. Let's look down here at insert 0. It takes a stream event as its input. It has an async star routine, which means that I know I'm going to be returning a stream event in this case. And what I've got inside here is pretty clever, I think. So we're doing a yield 0, which is going to insert a 0 ahead of all the outputs from the real stream. Because the outputs of the real stream, as you'll see, is e+1. So it's going to be, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this will be the 0 in front of it. Okay? So that looks kind of clever. Let's go ahead and run that, and you'll see, somewhere here's run, there we go. You'll see start in 0 right away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So now we've solved the original request. But I said, no, I can do more with this. I can make this a little simpler to use. And and not have to explain this yield 0 and yield star to anybody. So I thought, okay, I'll create a stream concatenator. You know, I searched for about 15 minutes trying to find one. I figured there'd be one of them in the standard library, but there isn't. So this takes a stream that has just a single element of 0, and the original stream that we had from the previous couple of slides here, and basically concatenates them, pours out everything from the first one, and then pours out everything from the second one, and it's actually flexible. It can take any number of streams, including 0, and still do the right job. So how did I do that? That one's not, actually looks simpler when you look at it. We take a list of streams of type T, so this is actually strongly safely typed, there we go. We take a list of streams. For each of those streams, for each S in streams, we do a yield star. Now again, yield star says take this stream and squirrel it all out as the output of our final result. So think of it as return the stream as it comes in. So it'll take a bit of time as well. Okay, does this work? Let's see. Let's see here. We're gonna, got to scroll up to run it. Okay. Start 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, that works. All right, cool. I said, you know, that's overkill. I'm doing a lot more there than I really want to do. So let's improve on that. Again, now it's about 1 a.m. at this point, and I really should be getting to bed for my 8 a.m. meeting in the morning, but hey, I am engaged in this at this point. So I said, I like extensions. Let's make an extension. So we want an extension on stream, and we're going to do the same stream periodic take 5. So that was the same as before. And then I'm going to invent a getter called insert 0 on any int stream, actually, about the only ones we'll work on. So we do a stream extension on stream int. We call insert 0, and what it does is this. Yield 0 as int. Not quite sure why I need the as in there, but it breaks if you don't. And you can't say as double because it can't cast like that. So no upcasting. Or downcasting. I don't know. Sideways casting. Doing something wrong. But that works. That tells it that this is definitely a 0. We promise that this 0 is definitely an int at runtime, and so it works correctly. And then yield star. Now, because we're an extension on the stream, this is this. This is the stream we're extending, or the stream that we're acting on. So we add this there. Now we have 5 elements from the original stream, but ahead of that we have inserted a 0 at the appropriate time. So when we run this, once again, very boring, very same output. Here we go. Press run, maybe. Let's see here. There we go. Got to be on the right place. Start 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But see, once again, I have an element coming out just before, before the rest of the periodic actually kicks in. And I said, you know, I can do this a different way. One of the things that I really hate about stream periodic is that I have to write stream, periodic, duration, create the duration, and then my actual callback. So let's go a slightly different way. Let's instead make an extension, on duration. So I can just say duration and the length of time I want between events to ticker stream. And then this is initially the, it takes a start and a gap. So, and those are optional parameters. So the first thing is what number to start at, and the second one is what the number is incremented by. And once again, I've got my take 5 over here so that I only get the first 5 elements of this. This works. Now remember, the output is going to be basically, we're hoping, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on. And the way this works down here is because we yield the start value that comes out, and that's our first element, pops in. Now we can do nums, by the way. So it is restricted to nums because you can do math on nums. And it will get the right type. No, it's actually always going to be stream num. So it's going to come out as a num too. Again, async star. Again, yield. My first value now, no longer 0, except by default. And then I'm going to yield star, once again, a stream periodic, this being the duration, so that's the thing we want in the first slot for stream periodic. And then we do the right math here, e plus 1 times gap plus start gives us the appropriate remaining elements. Now let's run this and see what happens. See if it's exactly as I described. Start 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay. And it's 5 elements total. That's what the take 5 is doing. So unlike the other ones, this is the number of elements output. On the previous ones, there was an extra 0 that wasn't counted in my take 5. But let's ignore that for a moment. Okay, so we're happy with this, kind of. I still say, this is cool, but if you're doing like every 60 seconds, I'd like it to say 0, and then 60 seconds later say 60, and then another 60 seconds later say 120. So in other words, the elapsed seconds. Was I able to fix that? Now we're up to about 2 in the morning. Okay, so I'm still looking at my clock going, this is getting later and later. But I really want to play with this. I really want to make this work. So I go to ticker stream. This is just actually a slight change. I'm basically creating named parameters now. Oh, I was tired of putting .take5 all the time. So I basically added that as a parameter to ticker stream. So this is just an update of that. So here, now they're all named parameters. See the curly braces there. Int take might be optional. Well, is optional and doesn't have a default of 0 or 1 like the previous two do. And the reason for that is I want to make it an infinite stream if take isn't set. So I have to do a little extra work for that. Take might be null at some point here, so that means int question mark for the type. I'm totally into 1.12 now and beyond. I am totally into sound null safety for everything on everything I create. So how does this work? Well, we yield the start value, okay, which is always legal because this is a num, and I'm creating a stream of num. And then we do the rest. The rest is basically like the other formulas. We've got here the same sort of a closure that we had before, the callback we had before. We're passing this, which again is the duration, as our first element of the stream periodic. Now, rest is already created. If take is null, which means we want this to be an infinite list, then we just yield that rest. Okay? And that's going to have no take on it. Now, if we do have a take, we call yield again, rest, and then add the .take, because that will return a different stream that stops after so many elements. So that was pretty easy. This does functionally almost the same thing, but it now has this auto take property. And so we're going to start by 10 and count by 5. You should actually see the same output as what's already in the window for just another second here. Okay, start 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Okay, now, a moment ago I was talking about having it say 60 for 60 seconds and 120 for 120 seconds. Yeah, you could fiddle these numbers around until it actually ended up working for seconds 60. But, so it'd say start 0 and increment by 60. That would do it. But I said, I'm probably going to do this more than once. So let me keep going. Again, now we're about 2:30, maybe 2:45 in the morning, and I'm still working on this. So I'm going to invent start to ticker stream seconds. We already saw to ticker stream. That hasn't changed yet. But we're going to add another extension on duration called to ticker stream seconds. It only has start and take. We don't want to buy, and you'll see why in a moment. We reach in to the duration that we are in milliseconds is that value for what milliseconds there are per cycle of the duration. I suppose I could use microseconds too, but milliseconds is close enough for me to understand. But that's going to come out something like 1,500 if there's 1,500 milliseconds, like there is in the one that we created up above that you can't see right now. We want to divide that, and I'm giving thanks to Simon Lightfoot for he's going to kill me for that, this idea of using duration.milliseconds per second. Originally I had just 1,000 here, and it was like, what the heck does this 1,000 come from? But that's already provided for us inside duration. Okay, the start, if it's null up here, meaning they didn't provide a start, we actually start with that same number of seconds. That way, it starts with 60, 100, 120. I can't do math now. This has been bad. 60, 120, 180, and so on. So it starts with the first number indicating the length into it so far. That seemed to make more sense than starting at would be the 0th element. So I did it that way. Okay, and again, to-ticker stream start by seconds take is just calling this other one. So let's see what that looks like. And for grins, I'm doing it on 1500 milliseconds. So that means it's going to be 1.5 seconds separation. Start of 0, which means the first element actually is going to come out 0. And then a take of 10. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. And actually, start 0 is the default. So unless, wait, how would you ever get... right, I'm passing this into here. This start of 0. This is a start of 0. Okay, cool. All right, now let's go ahead and run that. Again, 1500 seconds between. We're starting at 0. We're going to take 10 items. Let's run that. Okay, lower left corner, 0, 1.5. Now notice it scaled to seconds. So that's 4.5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7.5 seconds, and so on. Pretty slick, right? Pretty slick. So that's nice. And so I showed everything I just showed you to Simon earlier today. And he says, you're sort of going at it backwards with all these extensions and stuff. Why don't you just create a function that acts like Stream.periodic and generates a periodic stream with the right settings? I said, that's an idea. So I worked a bit with Simon a little bit, and we created this function called periodic insert first. And it has the same signature as Stream.periodic. In other words, the duration comes first, and the mapping function, the calculation function, comes as an optional second parameter. Same code in here, not changing any of that at all. So we've got this type def, which defines what this actually is. So I went in actually to the source code of Stream.periodic. I did that by taking Stream.periodic, and then in my VSC, I have to go down here and go to definition. So in that case, it's F12, but I never remember F12. So I just do that. I just do a right click, and it works. Okay, and then I saw what the definition for it was, so I knew what the signature looked like. So the signature is duration, period, computation function, optional, on type T, and is a callback. So I actually copied those signature elements from the original definition. Cool. All right. And I copied this from the type def that's actually there. It looks just like that. Okay. So how does this work? So periodic insert first. That's the thing that I've got as a function. I want it to return a stream. It'll be a stream on objects, of course, stream on things coming back. If the callback is given, in other words, because this is a nullable parameter, they may not have a callback. So if the callback is not null, we yield callback -1. Now, because the first parameter passed into the callback is 0, I have to have some way of indicating, hey, it's me, it's not the original Stream.periodic, and it's off by 1 in the wrong direction, right? So -1 does that. And then a yield star, Stream.periodic, period, actually is brought in, from the duration that's in the command line. So this duration seconds 1, right? And then callback, which is, again, the function that's over here. So this works. It's a little weird. I didn't really shorten the name down here. It's not an extension on duration. And I'll show you in a second how I went wild and actually did all that. But let's just again, interpret this. So these are two parameters that are passed to Stream.periodic. I call a function that maps those into a stream periodic that has the appropriate values possibly preceded by a callback of -1. One thing that's interesting to note is that some of my previous ones, I had to force it to be a stream int or a stream num or something. This one doesn't actually require that. Whatever the callback function's type is, that can also be the type of the stream. So we now have a full-blown stream function. In fact, if you come up here, periodic insert first, well, the stream from that is a stream of int because I'm returning int over here. But if I returned 1.5 there and then came over here, I have a stream of double just by that because it inferred that this is a double return function and changed the output of the type to that. Isn't that cool? This is sort of an intermediate to advanced presentation. So if I'm now blurring, your eyes are blurring and you're all that's okay. This is sort of advanced, but I want to show a lot of interesting techniques about dealing with streams and dealing with these things, extensions, right? Okay, let's run this just to show it still works. Run. Okay, start 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, and ends, right? Because I did take 5. And once again, the 5 is now counting even my initially injected item. So, because the take is outside all of this other stuff. And then I looked at that and I said, yeah, okay, that's a nice function. But I like my idea of extensions, especially on extensions on duration. I think I want to do a few more of those. So let's go one further. And I finally stopped. I actually wrote this only like an hour ago. So the other one was written with Simon about 2.5 hours ago. This one was written about an hour ago when I started thinking about it. So we're going to go back, and we're still going to have an extension on duration. And then I'm going to call it to Stream.periodic. To Stream.periodic takes a mandatory callback function because it doesn't make any sense to inject the -1 element if there isn't one there and then run a Stream.periodic on it. So that's mandatory. And that's our stream. And once again, now we've got a stream of string. Try saying that 3 times fast. Because the value that comes back from this callback is, in fact, a string now, not just a number or anything else. So that shows this is actually even more flexible than almost all the previous versions, right? Because now we can take an arbitrary backing here, okay? And we could actually type it in here if we wanted to, but I didn't. Again, same guts in the middle, same thing in the middle. How am I doing to Stream.periodic as a bolt-on, an extension for duration? So duration x to Stream.periodic on duration. Again, stream t. This takes the t all the way down into the code. Now we have a mandatory callback because it really doesn't make sense to not have a callback for this this layer here. We yield callback once again on -1 in order to be able to give you the value before the 0 value that Stream.periodic is doing. And then simply Stream.periodic passing this, which is the duration, because we're in duration class, and the callback that was given to us up here. And we no longer need the check for if callback is null, because, hey, it's not going to make any sense. So we just simply force it to be that in the parameters here. And once again, actually we get a slightly different output for this because I am doing now $E, just to show you what's being passed in E each time. Boom. Start now 1, now 0, now 1, now 2, now 3, and we're done. And once again, the take 5 is counting the -1 all the way up to 3, so that's 4, 1, 5. Yes, 5 total elements. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe a little more advanced than some of the previous ones have been, but I'm just basically going to be answering questions for people most of the time. So I go on Discord, I go on Stack Overflow, I hit Facebook sort of sporadically. There's like 12 pages there, 12 groups with Dart and Flutter questions. And of course, Reddit, and I think I said Stack Overflow already. And the Flutter community Slack. I go a lot of places. I patrol a lot of places looking for questions to answer. And I think you'll see that I answered the question in an extensive way. I would actually suggest that the original poster just drop this little snippet of code in their work, in their code, and they've got it. Yes, I could package this up and make it something in the pub, which I probably should do, something like that. But I want to have more things on duration than just this one thing. But this is kind of cool. So hope you enjoyed all that. And subscribe to this channel. Click all the things. You know the drill. And tell your friends about my channel. Thank you. See you again next time.